So this is a wind down sequence. If you've come out of a long day, we want to just rinse the shoulders before we start and get a little bit of blood pumping through the body. So take your feet wide, knees are soft, behind is behind you, and just start to switch. So take the hands nice and wide and swing your hands around the body. It's just so nice to release all the little muscles around the spine. They massage into the spine as well. We get the central nervous system boost when we swish, when we come into loose twists like this. So nice full breath. Feel the lungs being massaged. Sighing out. The sigh is nature's way of releasing tension. Really nice. Bend the knees a bit more. Get a little bit of traction through those fingers so we create a bit more of a twist through the spine. And then I like to come into a discus throwing movement. So we stretch the whole side of the body, lifting the fingers, throwing the discus, and then exhale, go ha. Do that on the other side. Ha. So it feels as if you're chopping ha away. Ha. All the stuff. Ha. All the worries. You can almost visualize yourself chopping through, energetically chopping stuff away. Sighing it all out, letting the lower jaw become nice and heavy. Noticing tension that you're holding in the jaw. Wonderful. Then coming up, and as we twist here, just tap the upper back. All we have is endorphin receptors, and just tapping into this, giving yourself a thoracic twist, an upper back twist to rinse tension out, but will also, just touching yourself on the back, also stimulates those endorphins. Wonderful. Dropping down, coming into a goddess stance like this, a little bit more breath just to get those lungs really functioning well. Breathing in, lift the heart, exhale. Breathing in, press the floor away. So as you breathe in, we want to pull the breath right underneath the armpits, so you can visualize that you're fanning your ribs out underneath the arms, almost like gills. Breathing in, stretching into those intercostal muscles between the ribs, and up. Stay down in your goddess stance, so thighs are nice and strong, and lateral stretch up and over. Press down through the heels, stretch the side waist, open the chest. Breathing in, exhaling up and over to the other side. So we want to mobilize on an exhale just to stabilize the core so we're not hurting in the lower back. Behind is behind you and up and over. So just make sure you're not putting pressure through your knees by letting your pelvis be forward. We're creating a nice strong straight back, straight spine. We're not collapsing forward, and we're drawing the chest open, drawing the shoulder back. Really good. And then take the hands above the knees, rinse the shoulders, one shoulder then the other, just squeezing tension out of the shoulders, mobilizing the upper back. This is where hypertension starts, so really nice just to release here. Inhaling and exhaling to take the tail back and up, and then the tail under. Tail back and up, and tail under. So we mobilize through the pelvis. We also work the breath into the pelvic floor when we do this. A really nice dynamic way to work the pelvic floor muscles, working also the glutes. Great. And then coming up and just circle the pelvis. So this is one of my favorite things to do because it really massages into the lower back, releases the hips, and it's almost like you're lubricating the ball and socket joints. So we're getting right deep down into the little supported muscles around the pelvic floor and the other direction. Big circles here. Wonderful. And if you want to work on your upper back muscles, the postural muscles, arms out, shoulders down, pulling back ever so slightly through your fingers so it feels as if you're squeezing an orange between your shoulder blades. Great. And then come down, give your legs a shake, and we'll flow through a sun salutation. So feet up towards the front of your mat. Spread your toes. Nice fat feet, so we have hobbit-like feet. Soften the knees ever so slightly, press the feet down and out so we get an energetic lift up through the inner part of the legs from the arches of the feet. Lengthening out through the waist, base of the ribcage dropping down. Soft through these hip flexors, these psoas muscles here. A little bit soft through the knees. Roll one shoulder and then the other shoulder. Let the thumbs be slightly forward so we're nice and open in the chest. And this is the bit that really counts. Feel as if you have a string from the ridge at the back of your head and it's being pulled up towards the ceiling. Or like a mother cat has just picked you up by the scruff of the neck, so that you create a stretch through the back of your head, but you're not dropping the head, the chin's just drawing back. And I like to imagine there's a string from the crown of the head also lifting me up. Wonderful. Take a deep breath in, stretch the hands up towards the ceiling, and then exhale. And again, this time though, take the hands above the knees and then lengthen yourself into a tabletop position. So there is a rod from the ridge of the head to the tail. You're straightening the back, creating tension, if you like, in the back of the body to create strength here. Press the feet into the ground so you start to stretch the hamstrings slightly, pausing in this upside down L shape. Exhale, let the head drop down. And then come back into that tabletop again. Shoulders right away from the ears. A slight drawing in sensation between the shoulders to activate the back line of the body. This time, exhale, take the hands down on the mat and step one foot back. So let's step our right foot back, drop the knee onto the ground. So coming into a lunge like so. Press the back foot into the ground and then let the pelvis come forward to stretch into the quads here and lift the fingertips up towards the ceiling. Long stretch, maybe both hands up towards the ceiling. Base of the shoulder blades dropping down. Lift the heart, pull the fingertips up, shoulders dropping, back foot pressing into the ground. Good. Take one hand on the inside of your foot and turn the chest, other arm up towards the ceiling. So you're rinsing those shoulders and opening the front line of the body. Deep breath in. And then give your arm a bit of a swirl, like so. Drop yourself back so you bring your toes with you, hamstring stretch. Tail is lifting those toes, lengthening here into the hamstrings. Maybe give them a rub to warm them up. Really good. Hands frame the front foot, step both feet back and come into downward facing dog. So we're in a sort of a mountain shape here. Shoulders are being rolled away from ears. You are stretching the hands out so they're nice and wide. It doesn't matter if your knees are bent. We're lengthening the spine first of all and then walk the feet one at a time down towards the ground to get a stretch into those calf muscles. Nice, smooth ocean-like breath here. Drop the knees down onto the ground and do the same thing on the other side. So taking the other foot forward, pressing the back foot into the ground, and then as you come forward into your lunge, we might inch the front foot slightly forward and taking the fingertips up towards the ceiling, shoulders dropping right down away from ears, creating that lovely long stretch now into the thigh, into the hip flexors, like so. So I'm going to do it on this side since I've done the other side already. So nice big stretch up and then coming into that open twist. So press the knee into the inner thigh and open the chest like that. Wonderful. Smooth breath. And then big circles, mobilizing that shoulder. Great. Hands down on the ground, knees together. Drop the hips from one side, up and over to the other side. Up and over, and then a big circle. So we're just mobilizing the lower back again with this big swirling circle, one direction and then the other. Great. Leave your fingertips out in front of you and drop your hips down towards the ground. So we want to create a long stretch from the tail right out through to the fingertips, creating a lengthening in the lower back. Lovely deep, deep stretch here. Great. Come on to hands and knees. Lift the tail and then tuck the tail. So breathing in to lift, breathing out to tuck. As we lift the tail, we lift the heart, and as we tuck the tail, we round the back, tummy button to spine. Just a few more of those, mobilizing. And then circling the hips, big circles, swirling the tail in one direction, and then the other. Wonderful. Come onto your backs now. So keep it short and sweet. Come onto your backs, like so. press the feet up towards the ceiling, pull your toes down towards you, rub the back of your legs, a nice invigorating rub. Press the pelvis into the ground so you create lots of stretch on your hamstrings. Toes out, heels together like Charlie Chaplin. Rub the outside of your legs. And then again, toes over the eyes. You can always take a strap over your legs as well to stretch them. And then take one foot down onto the ground and you can press up through one heel so you create even more length through those hamstrings. And then take the ankle on top of your bent knee and draw your bent knee in towards the body, and your other knee, which is out to the side, if you just very gently externally rotate the thigh, so you grab the flesh of the thigh, you sort of pull it out slightly, you'll get even more of a stretch into these hips. And the more you draw your bottom leg in towards the body, the more of a stretch you're going to get into those glutes. So a figure of 4 stretch here. Great if you've been on your feet all day and you just need to release tension that's built up around your hips and into the lower back. So doing that on one side and then the other. Press through the heel, keep that knee bent. Maybe mobilizing the ankle, rolling it around like so. And then taking the ankle on top of the bent knee and drawing the other leg in. If you can take your thumb and just wrap it above the knee onto the thigh and just gently pull the thigh away so you're externally rotating the thigh, you'll get more of a sort of a massaging stretch into the hip. And then as we push this knee in towards the body, the stretch goes right into the glutes. A really good stretch. So use your breath. Long, smooth breath here. Good. And then take both feet underneath the knees, rolling up and down the spine. So using pressure through the heels to instigate the roll up. So you're not just pushing the pubic bone up, you're massaging up and down the spine. And then maybe staying up. Take the shoulders below your chest and take the arms as close together as possible. Either hands pressing down into the ground, or if it's comfortable for you to do so, maybe interlace the hands and press the forearms and the hands into the ground. And you want to feel as if your knees are flowing out towards the wall in front of you, so we're stretching the front line of the body. Breathing into the chest. Try not to move your head. And then slowly coming down. Settle the back and then draw the knees into the chest. Hands on each knee, and then we're going to separate the knees and circle them. So big circles, toes close into your bottom, big circles here. Feels as if you're kind of stirring your femurs into the pelvic bowl here, into the ball and socket joint is getting a nice kind of mobilization. Big circles. That's the way. And then releasing the inner thighs again, coming to a frog pose. So take hold of your shins and just draw your toes together. Press your knees out so you can feel the stretch into the groin, into the inner thighs. Shoulders are soft. And going into what I call the 360 breath. So it's like you're taking the breath, both the inhale and the exhale, down into the whole pelvic bowl area. And it's almost like you're blowing up a beach ball. So it's this real softening, expanding sensation through all the muscle fibers, the hips and the lower belly, lower back, pelvic floor. And then take the feet up towards the ceiling. So keep breathing like that. This is baby pose. So we either grab hold of our shins here or thighs. Or if you can reach beyond your ankle bone and hook your fingertips onto the inside of your feet, that's a nice thing to do. We try to flatten the back into the ground. So if you find that your head is tilting back with your chin up, you need to take a blanket underneath the ridge of your head. And try not to tuck your tail up like so. You want to try and take the back of your pelvis into the ground, dropping and spreading your back, the whole of your back. Same breath. Taking the breath down, 360 breath down into the pelvic area, inner thigh stretch. Fantastic. Then knees together, just rinse out the spine by coming into a twist on both sides. So dropping knees to one side, looking out over the other shoulder. Couple of breaths here and then on the other side. A really nice way just to rinse tension out of the back and out of the lower back is to come into twists. And then I suggest you just rest for about 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes, with your legs either up the wall or legs flopping over the side of a couch. If you have got prolapse organs, if you're just feeling very heavy through the pelvic floor, it's nice to have a pillow underneath the pelvis. So you want to take your hip against the wall, and grab this blanket here, and then take the legs up the wall as your back comes onto the ground. So we get a passive stretch through the hamstrings here. If you take a bit of height, let's got a pillow here underneath the pelvis, it literally tilts the pelvic organs away from the pelvic floor. And you can roll your ankles if you've got feet that feel all inflamed from standing all day. Hands either on the belly or arms out to the side of the palms, facing up. And just letting the breath become slow. So focusing on the exhale. When we are in an inversion like this, it makes it a lot easier to focus on the exhale. So I'm going to post a relaxation after this, an audio relaxation. So if you are in a restorative pose like this, or maybe just lying on the ground with your knees propped, make sure you're nice and warm, and then gifting yourself some time to drift into a deep state of relaxation, drifting into that stillness by listening to a guided relaxation. So thank you so much. Enjoy your relaxation, enjoy this restorative pose, and namaste.